Okay.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to open the April 30th, 2020 Board of Selectmen meeting.
Seconded.
Motion made and second. Discussion? Okay, no discussion. Roll call vote. Richie Lombard, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye.
Josh Antrim, aye.
That motion passes. I have open comments here to read. The annual town election has been postponed until Saturday, June 20th, 2020. That's the town election. The annual town meeting has been postponed until Saturday, June 27th, 2020. And you can purchase your beach parking sticker on Nahant.org. And the new meeting notice hyperlink on homepage of town website, notice of all public meetings. And the Charles Kelly Scholarship deadline has been extended through to May 15th, 2020. And the boat launching date has been postponed until May 21st instead of the 15th. And that's all the opening comments I have. New business?
New business, Rich.
Any comments? Any opening comments? Go with Josh first.
Well, I'd just like to take the opportunity to express our condolences, from the whole town on the passing of Mr. Cullen and Mark's father. He was truly an icon in Nahant and patriarch to, the extended Cullen family. So just on behalf of our government and all of us here, want to express our sincere condolences.
I'll second that motion. And he was fantastic. Great guy. A good, and I'm sorry to hear passing. Mark knows. I just, he was one of the, as I said, great guy. Anything else, Mark? You want to say anything?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for bringing that up. I appreciate it. It's been tough for the family and for my mother, but I just want to say that my father loved the town. He loved his experience being a police officer in town and being the police chief in town. So, of course, like everybody else, he's going to be missed sorely. I think the summer crew is going to miss him the most.
Definitely. I was going to say, Mark, he was such a good guy, and he was kind of like a grandfather to me and all of Betsy and Matt's friends. He was just, and then especially getting to work with him as a summer kid with the DPW. I mean, he was the best worker we ever had. He was nonstop. I'm sure he'd be out there if he was going to work this summer. So I'm truly sorry for your loss, and I know we're gonna have there's gonna be a drive-by wake this weekend on Sunday from 2 to 4. There's been postings about it on Facebook, and for anybody that is listening that's planning on attending, there should be signage. Just go down Winter Street, head towards the Back Rocks Marginal Road, and then turn up Ocean Street. And there'll be signage. There'll be police officers directing traffic too. So we're with you, Mark. We're with you and your family on this one.
All right, thanks, pal. Thank you, everybody. Okay, new business, Rich. I approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from February 20th, 2020.
Seconded.
Motion is made in second. Discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye. Roll call vote. I say aye. Richie Lombard?
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Okay. On the agenda is the Summer Park League discussion. Tony, you want to take it?
Sure. We are, we're starting to look at, as if I think everybody knows now, the governor has extended the stay-at-home advisory until May 18th. We are starting to look at, as is all municipalities, what the phase-in approach back to, normal way of life is going to look like, and how we're going to do that. And one of those things are Park League and sailing program, and even summer kids at DPW and seasonal employees there too. So we're taking a look at it. We're going to work with Jen McCarthy and find out from the kids that run the Park League how they feel about coming back to work. And hopefully I don't see anything like happening before June 1st, to be honest, but maybe we could get something back going around June. It depends really on the numbers here in Nahant and in Massachusetts, and we have the playgrounds are currently closed, and the open fields and everything is closed, but for passive recreation only. So we put it on the agenda tonight to let people know that as we cross into May here, we are we're actively working on how it's going to look, how we're going to go through this process and what we're going to do. We don't have any final decisions yet, but and honestly, I'm not sure what the typical start date is of Park League, but I would imagine we're looking at a delay in most of those types of gatherings. Until the numbers reduce a little bit more, I don't feel truly comfortable opening up the playgrounds, without the ability to disinfect them, regularly. So, that's kind of what we're on all the calls that, I'm sure Deb, if you want to chime in here, but, all the calls that conversations I've been on with the state about, everything related to phasing back in is that it's hard to, you're going to come up with some phases, but it's hard to really tell when you're going to jump from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, right? Because it's not really a time-based decision. It's more, how are the numbers reacting to the decisions or the changes in phase 1? And those numbers are typically about a week and a half behind. So, it's kind of like, if you open up playgrounds and you open up restaurants and you open up beaches and you open up parking lots, and then the numbers start to spike, you don't know which one of those things really caused that spike, or, and you don't know until about like 2 weeks later. So,
True. That's very true.
Yeah. So Deb, do you want to jump in a little bit?
Right. No, I think everything you're saying, Tony, is absolutely right. Today I was involved in multiple discussions with other communities about, of course, we don't have a high school, but we do have Swampscott, but how are they going to hold high school graduations? And so there were all different views on what to do. They even had input from all the states, the southern states, and how they're dealing with it. And, it's a struggle. Everybody's trying to figure out what is the best way to to do something like this. But the majority of the people that were responding were going to hold graduations, but the graduates were not going to be able to get out of their cars. It was going to be more like a parade type of thing, with only 2 speakers, and they can't even get out of their cars to like accept their diplomas. So you can see that even with the planning, nobody is quite ready to make that step to put people out in the public, you know, more or less changing what we have now. So the playgrounds, you know, I would guess that they don't usually open anyway until school's out, the summer programs, which is probably like around June 18th or so. Maybe we'll have more information by then, but our numbers in Nahant, I can say, are, I think we're in a very good place right now. We're starting to really, you know, everything's kind of like settling down a little bit. The people at the Jasmine that were positive are all doing well now. You know, it's been well over the 2-week quarantine period. So, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic here that things, like I said, we're getting to a much better place than we were. But as far as bringing people together on the beaches and I don't think, of course, we're not ready yet. And I think you're right. We just have to see what's going on in the rest of the state, because we know if we open something here, it's not just for the people in this town. It's, you know, it's for people that want to enjoy those. And we could have a bigger influx of more people as well. So I just, you know, we're seeing the data every week and we see it daily. We just have to keep an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's the testing piece. You know, there's a lot of talk now about community testing. So I'll be interested to see where that goes, because I really think that would give us a lot more information than we currently have.
Right.
So Deb, this is Mark. I got a question. When can grandparents hug their grandkids?
I know, Mark. I had a birthday party tonight at 4:30. Another drive-by parade. Put the present on the lawn. It's our 3rd one this month, and but I did hear though from one of the doctors was for all of those people that are having babies now, and the grandparents feel like so left out of everything. If you quarantine for 2 weeks, which means like total quarantine in your home, you know, no shopping, no stores at all, just in your home for 2 weeks, and you have no symptoms whatsoever, you could go visit that newborn baby with a mask on briefly. So that's a little encouraging.
Yeah.
But aside from that, Mark, I just put the present on the front lawn and got back in the car. It's
So
heartbreaking, but
yeah.
What can you do?
So do any of the members of the board have any questions about Park League and what we're thinking there, or any suggestions? I'll say that, you know, when it comes to DPW and seasonal employees there, you know, we have some younger, you know, high school, college kids that will work in the summer, and we're, you know, again, I don't see them coming back before June, or putting them to work before June, but I'm a little more comfortable with potentially bringing them in than I am, say, you know, our typical older seasonal employees. So, you know, it's not, when you're looking at these phases and how you're going to set it up, it's not only you know, the environment in which that action would take place, but it's also the vulnerability of the population that would be partaking in that action. So, you know, with Park League, you know, younger kids, but of course, you know, you don't want, which is better, but you don't want to have them all jumping on top of each other, or, you know, running all over the playgrounds if they're not being disinfected. So a lot to consider there. We obviously want to get kids out and have them. I'm sure they're dying to get out of the house too. At least I would have been at this point. But I don't know. Nowadays it's all video games. So we're working on it. So really, I just wanted to have that on the agenda so that folks in town would know, have some you know, comfort, I guess, in that we're thinking about it and we're working on some type of approach there.
Any other further discussion? Okay, ongoing business. The approval of the sale of the water bond to the NWRA dated May 18th, 2020. Josh, motion?
Josh, this is a long one. You're muted there, Josh. This is a long.
And then let me know.
This is a long motion.
Yep.
Just so you know, it's required. We have Vicky on the line, who can answer any questions once you read the motion, we get into discussion about the whole thing. But this really long motion that you're about to read is required through the MWRA. And I actually have it up on my computer, so I will share my screen so people who are on here can follow along as you read.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote that the sale of the $218,000 water bond of the town dated May 18th, 2020 to the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, the authority, is hereby approved, and the town treasurer and other appropriate town official is authorized to execute on behalf of the town a loan agreement and a financial assistance agreement with the authority with respect to the bond. The bond shall be payable without interest on May 15th of the years and in the principal amounts as follows. Year 1, 2021, the installment is $21,800, and that continues each year until 2030 in the amount of.
Josh.
Yeah.
Hang on. In your first paragraph, it was you mentioned 218. It was 318,000.
Yes, sorry, 318,000. So the
And
annual,
this one, and the other one is 31,800. I think you said two. Yeah.
the total bond is $318,000,
Right,
and
that's it.
we pay it back over 10 years, starting in 2021 at $31,800 each year through 2030. $31,800. And further vote that each member of the Board of Selectmen, the town clerk, and the town treasurer, and hereby are authorized to take any and all actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, and other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing vote.
Is there a second?
Seconded by Mark Cullen.
Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion?
I do have some discussion. Tony, you might pick up on this. So this is sort of an annual event that we get from a borrowing we get from MWRA for zero interest. So I understand that this borrowing is for replacement of water mains. And those water mains will be from Walton Road, from Waff Street to 40 Steps Lane, from Forbush Road, from Walton Road to Willow Road, Mills Terrace from Little Nahant to the end, and Howe Road from Little Nahant to Nahant Road to the hydrant, the Howe Road extension. I'm not sure if you have this information, but I assume those are all like full replacement lines, like 8-inch.
Zach's on the line as well. Zach and
Okay.
Vicky are on the line, so they can answer that question.
Okay, why don't I have Zach and Vicky do that then?
That's correct, Mark. 8-inch lines.
They're gonna be replaced with 8-inch. The existing, some are like 2-inch, 4-inch. They're really, but the new will be all 8. Yes.
All 8 ductile iron pipe?
We're actually using PVC.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good.
And
When
all of them are just in the areas that are below sea level type areas?
Zach, I thought it was all. I haven't looked at the plans lately.
Yeah, it's going to be all, Mark, just to get a better cost on the pipe rather than having 2 different materials, because we're going to use the plastic pipe on Furbish Road because of the groundwater conditions.
Mhm.
We'll just also use that pipe on Howe and Mills as well.
So could you explain, Zach, the work on Howe Road to Mills? Is that going through, how are you making the connection from Howe Road to Mills Terrace?
So there are existing services. They're actually they're only 1-inch services that come from Mills Terrace, and they feed the last 2 or 3 residents on Howe Road, and they actually go through 17 Mills Terrace property. There's 3 services that run underneath that property. So we decided that putting an easement in place was going to be difficult. So we're going to use the 1 inches to loop it. It's obviously not desirable to have a 1-inch, but it does give you some flow. But the main idea on Mills Terrace is that the hydrant at the bottom had very poor flow during testing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
by replacing the 6-inch with an 8 will give us the fire flows we need down there.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you're gonna get from Howe to Mills, and it sounds like you want to avoid the easement, which I agree with, and as long as you have the flow with a 1-inch, that's fine.
Yep. So we're going to connect. To one of those 1-inch services just to allow some flow through there.
Mm-hmm.
The looping of the system.
Zach, when will this start?
What's that?
This is Richie. When will this project get underway?
Bidding, I believe, is next week. Bidding.
Yeah, it's pretty soon, in the next week, I think.
I think bidding is next week, and then
I think it's Monday.
I believe
Yeah,
we're giving
before.
them a 60-day performance period, so that'll allow the contractor from signing of contract 60 days to get the work complete. So
Okay.
it'll happen relatively quickly once we get contracts going.
Oh, good.
We basically took, a number of authorizations of MWRA borrowing and combined them so that we could do this job. All of these have been voted on by the town. They've been approved by the town, giving us the authorization to go ahead and borrow. Now we're at the phase where the board is, some of these require the Board of Selectmen tonight to vote for us to go ahead and do the borrowing. And Brendan Corritt, the town treasurer, is on the call too. If you have any questions on the finance side.
Well, this is interest from MWRA is 0, right?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
0 interest.
No, yes. Okay.
We have, so long as the MWR, we got a ton of water work that can be done in the town. And so long as the MWRA is offering this 0% interest loan, in my opinion, it makes sense for us to be getting the authorization to borrow under it. And I believe we even added some to this year's warrant again. So as long as they're offering a deal like this, it's worth taking advantage of.
Absolutely. Take care. I would just make sure it's well publicized what areas, the timetable and what streets are gonna be done and et cetera, so that the people involved in the streets are aware of it,
Mhm.
Tony, it's Mark again. I don't expect an answer tonight, but maybe we can put it on the agenda for the future. I know that some of the requirements for participating in this loan program include a flushing program of hydrants, a cross connection program, and also a water quality testing program that the town maintains. So I guess, again, we don't have to get into it tonight, but I'd like to try to put on the agenda for the future what the flushing program is going to be for our hydrants over the next year. It might not be a bad time when, people are not working now and those types of things, although it may not be a good time, but just to think about it. I would like to talk about the flushing program and make sure that that's going. And I also want to talk about the cross connection program
Okay.
at some point.
Mark, I could speak to a couple of those. The testing we do have in place. We test every 2 weeks. Those tests are brought over to MWRA in Chelsea. The hydrant flushing we are planning to do this year.
Oh, great.
Along with testing simultaneously while we're flushing the hydrants. And what was the third?
The cross connection.
Cross connection. So we do cross connection sampling. I believe Weston and Sampson does it for us yearly.
Okay.
And Vicki, I don't know if you want to speak. I believe the ASR report that you were working on had something with the backflow.
Yeah, so every year, every water system has to report to DEP an annual statistical report. And one of the worksheets in that report is all the backflow data. So how many devices you have through town, how many are, what types they are, what size, who tested them, the test results. So Nahant uses Weston and Sampson as a contract tester, and they do all the testing and provide us with a concise report every year that we then populate up to the annual statistical report. So that's pretty much, I think you have a handle on that, the backflow.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
But Mark, we may want to wait till people go to work.
Flush.
Seems like they may be using a lot more water and home a lot more. So
Okay, yeah. I understand.
Who is that? Is that
Zach,
Hey, Zach, that's a great idea. Let's not shut the water off at 7 a.m. People take a shower. Wait till 9. I know in Ocean Street I got caught. A couple of years. I couldn't take a shower for 3 days. But anyway, just have make sure.
we also have somewhat along those lines. MWRA is going to be coming out in the spring to do a pretty intense water leak detection because we had a decent amount of leaks last year, and we believe we fixed what we had, but the flows didn't really match up. So we've spoken with them, and that'll be occurring this spring too.
That's good.
Very good.
Very good.
Okay, if you have no other questions, there's a motion on the floor.
Seconded by, I already seconded it, Rich.
Yep. Motion's been made and seconded. No other further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Richie Lombard, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Okay, that passes unanimous. Next, the Board of Health, the approval of an emergency order issued by the Board of Health appointed agent regarding 5 people in the essential businesses, facial covering, signage, essential businesses, and delineation of at least 6 feet social distances. Any discussion on that?
Yeah. If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Tony.
Sharing my screen here for people to read along. I can,
You're still seeing the MWRA bond.
oh, okay. Let me see. Stop here. Share screen.
Share.
Here we go. How's that?
That's it.
Okay. So this emergency order I put in place to go into effect tomorrow after you vote to approve today. And I'll just read through it if that's okay with you. Whereas on March 10, 2020, Governor Charles Baker, acting pursuant to the powers provided by Chapter 639 of the Act of 1950 and General Law, Chapter 17, Section 2A, declared that there existing in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts a state of emergency due to the outbreak of the 2019 novel coronavirus. And whereas on March 11, 2020, the COVID-19 outbreak was characterized as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. And whereas on March 17th, 2020, the Nahant Board of Health declared a local state of emergency in the town of Nahant, and pursuant to General Law, Chapter 111, Section 30, appointed myself, Antonio Barletta, Town Administrator, its agent during the local state of emergency. Whereas the Nahant Board of Health is urging all Nahant residents and visitors to limit activities outside and to practice social distancing at all times, both inside and outside of the home, to limit the spread of highly contagious and deadly virus. Whereas as of April 14th, 2020, the town of Nahant at 733.51 per 100,000 residents had the 13th highest rate of infection among the Commonwealth's 351 municipalities. And whereas as of April 29th, 2020, the town of Nahant's rate of infection had increased to 886.33 per 100,000 residents. And whereas the declarations of local and state of emergency statutes and regulations, such as General Law, Chapter 111, Section 95 through 122, Section 13 of Chapter 639 of the Acts of 1950, 310 CMR 11.01, 105 CMR 300.001, and any other authorizing statutes or regulations empower the Nahant Board of Health during the effective period of declared emergencies to exercise any and all authority over persons and property necessary or expedient for meeting a state of emergencies, including but not limited to authority over public assemblages and in order to protect the health and safety of persons, regulating the sale of articles of food and household articles, and policing, protection, and preservation of public and private property. Now, therefore, the Nahant Board of Health, through its appointed agent, in order to take additional measures to protect the town of Nahant's public health during COVID-19 public health emergency in light of current conditions, hereby orders the following. So number 1 is face covering. All members of the public entering any essential business as defined by the governor, by Governor Baker's COVID-19 executive order, must wear face covering such as a fabric mask, scarf, or bandana over his or her nose and mouth. Face covering does not have to be a surgical mask or N95 respirator. Those should be left for medical professionals and first responders. So the first main takeaway from this order is that starting tomorrow, anyone entering an essential business in the town of Nahant must wear a face mask. I will say that I spoke to a couple essential business owners already, and they all said like somewhere between 90-95% of their customers are already doing this. Number 2, all employees of the essential businesses shall wear a face covering over their mouth and nose when interacting with the public or when said employee is within 6 feet of a coworker. Again, I spoke with a couple of essential business owners already, and many are already doing that. The other, formalizing that any essential businesses permitting entry to the general public through through open and obvious markings designate 6-foot spaces within their premises leading from that essential business point of contact with the public, enabling the general public to maintain the appropriate social distancing. So you've seen it a lot on the floors of the businesses already, showing, stay 6 feet apart from the person that's in the building with you. And a lot of that is already happening, but just formalizing that it be here. And tomorrow I will have new signage prepared and distributed so that it can be, that says face covering, 6-foot distance, and the next one on there for those businesses to post. The next one is the other big takeaway from this order is that any and all essential businesses permitting entry to general public shall permit no more than 5 customers inside its premises at one time. An employee of such establishment shall be designated to ensure that the maximum occupancy of the essential business is not exceeded. So the governor has a 10-person limit in his executive order. We are going a step further and doing a 5-person limit. Again, most of our businesses are smaller and don't have more than 5 people in there at the same time anyways. When we put out when we put out the signage originally for 10 people only or less,
They changed it anyway.
they actually changed it on their own, Seaside Variety and Seaside Pizza, and Mark changed it to 5. They wanted less people in the building. So I don't, suspect any pushback there. So next one is signage, and there is an enforcement clause here that allows for violations of the emergency order to result in a civil fine of $300 per violation. But I will say that I've spoken with Chief Dwyer, and we will be leaning on the side of education over issuing any type of financial penalty. But we do have a $300 violation clause in here. I guess I'll just sum it up with saying that as we were talking about earlier, the town of Nahant, everything, the level of activity in our community directly correlates to the weather. And as the weather is getting better, more people are out and about and more people are in town, and we're heading in that, we're heading in that direction. While Dunkin' Donuts and Richland and Tides and the golf course technically have the authority to be open right now, they haven't been, but they can come back online so long as they meet, the governor's order requirements. So Richland's back open. I believe Dunkin' Donuts is looking to get back open soon. So, as we see activity increasing in town and as we see businesses starting to open their doors again, we really want to make sure that we prevent any type of secondary spike. And so, as we mentioned at the last Board of Select meeting, where I mentioned that I believe, now it's now more than ever is it important that we stay disciplined, stay diligent, and protect each other so that we don't see, a secondary spike with, a lot more activity occurring in town. Dan Script helped write the executive order. If you have any questions about what the language in the document, and Deb our health nurse is on the phone as well, if you have any questions about the order itself.
Well, that was a lot of words, but what it boils down to is you have to wear a mask when you go into a business. You have to stay 6 feet away from the other customers in the business. And there can be no more than 5 customers in the business at any one time. So that's really it in a nutshell. Pretty simple, very easy to comply with.
So, Tony, I move that the Board of Health pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 111, Section 30, vote to approve the emergency order issued on Thursday, April 30th, 2020, by the Board of Health appointed agent regarding additional COVID-19 precautions.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Motion's been made and second. Discussion.
I just want to, we've said it a lot, Tony, thank you for your leadership on this. And Debbie Murphy, thank you for your leadership on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, it'll be a roll call vote. Richie Lombard, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Okay, next on the agenda, Town Administrator's Report.
You know, I think I've probably said enough already. You know, we're continuing to analyze whether or not we're going to be able to have town meeting on June 27th. We still haven't gotten any new, really new guidance from the state as to when they're going to be releasing the House budget, which is going to be a huge piece of information for us as we plan for next year's budget. So we are, hoping for that soon. And with town election, I mentioned last time that we are looking for volunteers, for anyone looking to get involved. We will be doing things a little bit differently this year because of coronavirus. There's folks, if folks want to vote through absentee ballot or mail in an absentee ballot, reach out to the clerk's office or email Carol Nelson at cnelson@nahant.org and request for that absentee, for an application for an absentee ballot. And you can submit that absentee ballot all the way up until the day before the election on June 20th. For May 29th is the last day to register as a voter. And just so people know, we'll be planning out some social distancing compliant type logistics for the polling station this year. So as we get closer, we will provide as much information about that as possible. There is a new, I'm just looking back at some of the opening comments. We did have some questions about the community calendar, and now that we're posting our meetings online, there's a tab on the homepage on nahant.org that you can click on to get we'll still have our postings on community calendar going forward, but there's also a secondary tab there on the homepage to take a look at whatever meetings. And then, that Charles Cali scholarship that you announced, we still have yet to receive an essay or an applicant. So it's wide open. So anybody that's interested, please mail or drop off in the Dropbox your scholarship application by May 15th. I think that, I don't know, I just heard cricket, so I think that's my
That was
signal
my
to get
phone,
off.
sorry.
Is that my cue,
Must have
Deb?
liked your present.
That's my cue, I think.
Well, that's $1,000 scholarship, so I'm sure there must be some college students that could benefit from that assistance.
I know, that's interesting.
Write the essay and get it submitted by May 15th.
Right.
So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tony, thank you. Any questions of the town administrator?
Dan Script got something.
2 points of clarification for you real quick. The application for the absentee early voting ballot can be submitted as late as the day before the election, but the actual submission of the ballot can be actually on the day of to be as late as close. So you can actually submit your ballot the day of the election.
Okay, so, yeah, you were skipping out a little bit, Dan, but I think what you were saying was that if anybody's submitting an absentee ballot, you can actually submit it up until the day of June 20th, the day of the election. Obviously, if you are being super cautious and staying home and requesting us to mail you an absentee ballot that you're going to fill out at home and then mail back to us, don't wait until, the day before, because we've noticed that the mail service has slowed down because of coronavirus. So, but we can just reach out to Carol Nelson and we'll make arrangements.
Right. And Tony, are we encouraging people to bring their own pens for the voting?
We're still, we'll get there. We're still working on how we're gonna run it. We were talking today about potentially having, gloves at the entrance door, and then you grab your ballot, you go fill it out with the pen, and then you submit your ballot and throw your gloves in the trash.
Okay.
And then maybe having a couple volunteers just for extra cautious, be extra cautious to be cleaning pens, spraying boots, in between uses.
But that's an option though, right? If people want to bring their own pens?
I think so. The only thing we were curious about was, can you use any pen? Will any pen show up in the machine? So, it might need to be a certain color, may need to be a certain, I don't know. So we'll figure that out and go from there. Also, just another public kind of announcement too is the Memorial Day Parade is, we haven't made a decision quite yet on that. I'm going to be speaking with Molly Conlon tomorrow about it. So, we will let people know as soon as possible whether that is going to be canceled or, there's going to be, if we do have a Memorial Day Parade, it's certainly going to be different from years past. There won't be any sort of public gathering at the cemetery or, walking parade. It would be something like a motorcade if we do have something. So working on those logistics as well. We really want to, though there's a lot of communities that have canceled Memorial Day parades, and I know there's a long history of it here in town, so we're going to make the extra effort to try to see if there's a way we can do something on that day.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it. I guess I'll say to folks on the phone or people on Zoom that if you have any questions or comments that you want to participate in the next part of the meeting, Citizens Forum, please enter it in the chat. I don't have any activity on my screen right now.
I want to just take a minute to talk about one thing. The zoning bylaw change that was overwhelmingly voted on by the Nahant voters last fall. There was a headline in the item about a week and a half ago saying that was rejected. That is not a true statement. It was approved. Some of the language in that zoning bylaw change was rejected, but the law was approved. And what it boils down to is that building in a natural resource area is allowed only to the extent that as allowed by the Dover Amendment. So with that in mind, Tony, you and I have talked about this. I think that we need to have Nahant's legal counsel prepare direction for the building inspector for responses and actions in sequence of events in the event that a building permit application is submitted that is in a natural resource district. So I just wanted to get that process started if it hasn't already.
It has.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's important for all of us and the building inspector and all the relevant committees to be on the same page and prepared in advance.
Yeah, Josh, it's already in effect. The way the law states, it goes into effect the day it was voted by annual, or in this case, special town meeting.
Yeah.
In terms of in terms of applications for building permits and variances, it actually goes back to the first notice of the planning board meeting, which was June 11th, I believe. So it's in effect now. There are some requirements in terms of publishing and posting, but that's just tying in loose ends. That's all that is. It's already in full motion.
Yeah, and we're putting together guidance as to, what the process is and what the process looks like. There's site plan review by the planning board, how the Concom would be involved, and how ZBA would potentially be involved, and that whole thing. So we are definitely trying to be prepared for something.
I would agree with that. Just that, town council makes all of the various boards and committees know what their responsibilities are regarding the changes in the bylaw.
Yeah, it's fairly complicated legal matter. So, frankly, it's not fair to necessarily expect the building inspector, for example, to be up to speed on those legal matters. So we just want to provide that guidance.
Okay.
Is that, Tony, you all finished?
Yes.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Is there any citizens that's listening in would like to say something?
So again, if you have any comments or you want to participate in the meeting, please
Yeah, just
click on the chat function at the bottom of the screen and type a message in there. I don't see anything right now.
okay. We'll give them a few minutes. Give them a chance if they want to jump on and say something.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet group.
I'm sorry?
It's a quiet group tonight.
Prize for that's a lousy day, a couple days. Anyways, is there anyone listening in, any from the audience, any students like to say anything? Say anything?
I can click unmute all. Hold on a second. I'm gonna unmute. If anybody, has loud music going on, I'm gonna unmute everyone to see if anybody. All right.
Tony, I would imagine a town moderator would love to have that ability to mute and unmute people.
I know. I know. All right. So everyone is, I've unmuted everybody on my end. Is there anybody in the audience that's called in that would like to participate in Citizens Forum?
Hi, it's Debbie Vanderslice.
Hi,
Can you hear
Debbie.
me?
Yes.
Yes,
Hi,
Debbie.
I just want to thank you all for keeping our government going during this crisis. I think it's wonderful, the communication that has taken place and the way that you all continue to meet regularly. I just want to thank you and show my appreciation.
Thank you very much for those comments, Debbie. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And the town administrator. Anyone else? Anyone else in the town would like to say anything while we're on Citizens Forum?
Richie,
Yes.
Joe Mel.
Oh, Joe, go ahead.
I have nothing to say.
I'm sorry?
I have nothing to say.
All right, Joe.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's that?
It's Michelle Capano.
Go ahead.
So with the new executive order for the Board of Health, just to be clear, it's only to wear face coverings in places of businesses. People don't have to wear them out in the public if they're going for a walk or working in their yard or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We are strongly urging it. The CDC strongly urges it, but we are not requiring it with this executive order.
Thank you.
Tony, can I just say something about that?
Sure.
So as far as going out for a walk, there's a lot of people that are walking, side by side, which is okay, but if it's a family member, if you're taking a walk with somebody from another household, I would say if you're within the 6 feet of walking, that you should wear a mask in that situation. If you're walking alone or if you're walking with your own family, I think it's a different story, but just keep that in mind, because there's a lot of friends that get together and go walking, and that's fine. But because, like I said, they're from different households, I would still take that precaution.
That's a good point.
Unless you're walking on opposite sides of the street, right?
Good point. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we could put, I'm not sure if the board wants to go mandatory wearing a mask in town, like other cities and towns doing it now, because you're outside. Not a bad idea. I'd have it mandatory for a mask outside if you're going to go for a walk. A lot of people have them, a lot of them don't. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of our neighboring communities. I spoke to the Attorney General's office as well. While we technically have the authority to do that, they advised to proceed with caution on requiring folks to wear a mask out in the general public. In that, strongly urging it is a good way to go. It's tough to enforce just generally out in the public. There's a lot of scenarios that are safe that don't necessarily, like Debbie just mentioned. So, a blanket policy for just anyone outside is a little bit tougher of a policy to enforce and to kind of expect out there. So, I'm happy to continue the conversation. Right now, the executive order that we just approved doesn't include that. It's just for when you're going in the confined space of an essential business.
Tony, just from experience, someone that walks every day around town, and I see a lot of people, I think it's just a matter of respect and, accountability. I mean, I wear a mask when I go out, and I know sometimes when you're walking by yourself, there's no one on the road. You're saying, well, I don't have the mask on. You can always lower it from your face while you're walking if there's no one around. If another party or another individual is approaching you, just pull the mask out. It's no big deal.
Right.
And I see a lot of people doing that now. I don't understand why people don't have a mask on their face, or at least on their body, while they're walking. I mean, I would hope that they would do that. Not so much for themselves, but for other people. And it's not a difficult thing to do. I'm not saying we should mandate it, but I would just hope people would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess I'll just add to that is that what we hear, and Deb, I'm sure Deb would agree with me, is that, there's a lot of people that are asymptomatic that don't know, they feel fine, and
Right.
they, and so they think, oh, I don't need a mask. I have no symptoms, or, I feel great, but you could have it and be asymptomatic. So it is important, when you're out there. And like I said, for me, I look at it like we are heading into Memorial Day, right? We're heading into May, and the weather's getting better. This weekend, I'm sure is going to be busy. And, I understand that, people have been inside for a long time. And, with nicer weather, they want to get outside. And it seems like the curve is starting to flatten. But, there are other places in the world that saw a secondary spike that was 3 to 4 times higher than the first one. And I don't think anybody wants to restart this process. I don't think Deb wants to.
I don't want to.
So, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, and about it. I don't think we're there yet as far as requiring it. We're in I think, but personally, I'm strongly urging it. All right.
Ellis Court, I have a comment if you can hear me.
Go ahead.
I have a question then. What is the policy for the town employees who are out and about?
Like, while working, you mean like DPW, Alice, or what do you, or
Yes,
police or
yeah.
fire? Or?
Yeah. And, just all the town employees who are out and, not in a building or but out on the streets or going about their business. Are they required to wear masks or use 6-foot distancing? I know there's a number of things that might be quite difficult about that.
Well, while working, the first thing that we're doing is public buildings. While in public buildings are all closed to the public, and non-essential employees are working from home. There are times where people need to get into the town hall that work at the town hall, and we have gloves and masks available to them, and we're all entering one doorway, and we have a system set up so that we're not all kind of working on top of each other at the same time. So we're doing things as best we can to protect each other's health, employees of the town hall. With the DPW, they are working somewhat of a skeleton crew. So 3 guys, we have, 6 total, 3 guys are on a day, and they rotate so that, they're separated in different trucks, and they're staying, the fear there was that if we had, if we had all 6 working and someone in the crew got sick, that, we would potentially have to shut down the entire department. So trying to split them up so that we can isolate any type of thing like that. Police and fire, they have protocols and procedures in place that if they're responding to any type of medical call or anything that has reported symptoms, or, we are aware that they are, through the public, sorry, Rocco wants to participate in this conversation. If we also coordinate, they coordinate with the public health nurse. They coordinate with the public health nurse on folks that are in quarantine. And if we are, responding to any calls on those addresses, they know to be dressed up. Part of the challenge there, Alice, is the PPE, the personal protection. The supply is limited. So you don't want to require that you're dressed fully at all times, because we'll run through that equipment too quickly. So there's somewhat of a balance there that you have to play, but I hope I was able to answer your question.
Tony, do you want me to add anything in terms of our policies for DPW?
Sure, while you're on the phone, yeah.
Alice, this is Zach from the DPW. We have a number of policies in place for specialized PPE for, sewer emergencies, that type of thing. But as far as the general public, I mean, I'd advise the guys just to basically avoid general public interaction. A lot of our work can be done independently of public interaction. We're not entering any homes. We're not doing water meter checks. We're not doing anything like that. But the guys should have a mask on them if they do happen to have some type of social interaction. But like I said, a lot of our work is independent of both fellow employees as well as the general public as, we get through this pandemic.
Thanks a lot. Obviously, it's important to keep everybody safe, so it's good to hear that those are the recommendations. Thanks.
Is there anyone else out there that would like to speak, add to the meeting? Okay.
Good.
Is there any other business for the regular meeting?
No.
The board's going to be moving into an executive session. It's necessary to discuss the lease and valuation of real property at Kelly Green Golf Course, 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. We will not reconvene in open session. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting here, and I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to general laws, Chapter 30A, 21A, and 6, to discuss the lease and valuation of real property at Kelly Greens, 1 Willow Road. Josh, would you like to make that motion?
Sure. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to go into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Paragraph 21A, 6, to discuss the lease and valuation of real property, Kelly Greens Golf Club, 1 Willow Road, Nahant, regarding 1 Willow Road, Nahant. We will not reconvene in open session.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second, Mark Cullen.
Mark, further discussion? Okay, we're going to be dropping off this meeting, the open meeting, and we're going to be calling into the executive session meeting, which is on your agenda, to discuss the Keller Green situation, and we will not be coming back into public session. Thank you very much for everyone participating, and we will see you. Hello? Did someone say something?
That might have been Rocco. So I think do we need to vote, take a roll call vote for that motion?
Yes, yes, I was just going to mention that. Yes, that would be a roll call vote now. Richie Lombard, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
Josh Amper, aye.
Okay, the motion passes. And okay, and you all have the number for the executive session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks everyone for participating, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, Tony.
Next week, I think.
Actually, we have the first first Thursday is next week, so we'll,
Okay, so we'll be back on next Thursday. Okay.
Yep.
Good enough.
All right.
See you
Bye.
next week. Okay, thanks. I'll see everyone in the executive session. Thank you.